Ladies and gentlemen, today I'll be speaking about infrastructure. Over the last 30 years, under the misrule of dictator Museveni, infrastructure in Uganda has been neglected, and the previously existing infrastructure destroyed. The little has been done badly or at very inflated cost and prices due to rampant corruption in government from the highest level. When one talks about infrastructure, roads and rail transport come in mind. But for today, I'm not going to speak about roads and rail transport. I'm going to speak about the other aspects of the infrastructure that constitute a good basis for the development of a country. We start off with energy. And under energy, we're going to talk about electricity in all its various forms, and then natural energy, for example, wood and solar. With electricity, Uganda now has 2 functioning hydroelectric generating facilities. Under normal circumstances, this would be enough to cover the whole country. But unfortunately, only 10% of the country has got electricity. This is a shame. Power has been misused. Electricity is exported to other countries, while internally the people are starved because of poor planning and simply because dictator Museveni does not care. Electricity distribution and generation is now very inadequate. Previously, there was a body, the Uganda Electricity Board, which was very efficient. There was no load shedding. And those who had power enjoyed the power. But now, all they enjoy are the high costs and the monthly invoices for electricity which is there for only half the time. And when it is available, it is very erratic, leading to destruction of property, machinery, and home instruments. This is totally inexcusable. Uganda has got the capacity not only to supply its own power, but to supply the whole of the East African region. Unfortunately, Mr. Museveni has neglected this and in fact has destroyed part of Lake Victoria, which is a source for the water that feeds the hydroelectric stations. As you know, the level of water in Victoria has gone down, and there is a dangerous weed on the lake. The wetlands have been destroyed, and this has got an effect on the water levels of Lake Victoria. In neighboring countries, for example, the DRC, they have a capacity to generate power to supply half of Africa. And with good relations, even if Uganda could not supply its own power, we could easily buy at a very, very low price from the DRC to supply the whole country. Oil is another source of energy. And with good planning, Uganda can harness this through generation of energy from oil and from gas. Unfortunately, again, the oil field seems to be personal property and the country is kept in the dark about the contracts and the plans for the oil revenue and the oil facilities. As you know, most of Ugandans depend on wood as the source of power and energy. This leads to depletion of trees and forests. However, if there was a plan to regenerate the forests, if there was a plan to put back the trees that are cut, it could still sustain the population for many years to come. But Mr. Museveni has totally neglected the wood industry. He has totally neglected energy from wood, and instead has actually destroyed the forests. He has destroyed the trees, leading to very dangerous environmental conditions. Uganda gets sunshine 365 days in a year for at least 8 hours per day. Under these circumstances, a prosperous and sensible government would invest very heavily in solar. Solar worldwide is becoming a cheap way of generating power, and Uganda can use this to its advantage. Unfortunately, Mr. Museveni again has had no credible plan in advancing solar power in Uganda to the general population. Of course, there are some areas where even wind energy can be utilized, or even fossil energy can be utilized. I'll touch briefly on the other aspects of infrastructure that are important for Uganda's economy. Water. Water is not only a basic necessity for life, but it's a common factor in every development, in every infrastructure. And water has been totally neglected to the extent that the main purification plant in Gaba was polluted with cholera, and the people in Kampala were supplied with water infected with cholera. This is a shame. Actually, this is criminal, and Museveni and his cronies must explain this gross negligence and incompetence. Water can be used effectively in the development of the nation and also the health of the nation. Uganda is endowed with waterways. Uganda is endowed with lakes. Uganda is endowed with rivers. And these can be used to supply water throughout the whole country. Even where there are no clear-cut connection to the lakes, boreholes can be put everywhere in Uganda so that every part of the population can have access to clean water. This is very, very important and a critical factor in the development of the country. Waste and sanitation are another aspect of infrastructure that influences the well-being of people and also influences development and economic advancement. Unfortunately, under dictator Yoweri Museveni, waste and sanitation have been totally neglected, to the extent that you see rubbish bins, rubbish dumps, and the poor collection of garbage in the cities, along the roads, and almost everywhere in Uganda. This leads to poor hygiene and numerous diseases. Apart from keeping the population healthy, a good waste and sanitation management system can also be harnessed to generate power and energy. Lastly, telecommunications is a very important aspect of development. I know that mobile phones are rampant in Uganda. Yes, That's one aspect that has flourished under Yoweri Museveni. However, there are many other aspects of telecommunications, and also the telephone system can be improved to be cheaper and to be available to every Ugandan. Of course, with the telecommunications comes the intrusion of privacy, and the government under Yoweri Museveni has been very, very, very aggressive in violating people's rights as far as privacy is concerned, to the extent that even under the current economic circumstances, Yoweri Museveni has purchased equipment worth $200 million in order to spy on its people. Under my government, electricity will be distributed to all parts of the country, and a body similar to the previous Uganda Electricity Board will be constituted to replace the current ineffective and corrupt agencies. The cost of electricity will be reduced to the end consumer, and the efficiency and distribution will be improved. Water will be catered for, and my government will strive to have everyone in the country access clean water. Due respect will be paid to the natural endowment Uganda has in rivers and lakes and waterways, and these will be protected instead of being destroyed. Solar power will be encouraged, and the government under my administration will encourage people to use solar whenever possible with the subsidies and the tax-free imports. Of course, oil energy will be harnessed, and gas will be harnessed according to the capability of government and to the location and distribution of those resources. Finally, wood will still be used, but with guidance from government, so that every Ugandan will be compelled to plant a certain number of trees per year in order for us to maintain and to improve the current stock of forests and trees in order not to harm the environment. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to ask you, how many of you are happy with the electricity status of Uganda? How many of you are happy with load shedding? How many are happy to pay the high prices for poor services and to be harassed with the power that is there for only half the time? How many of you are happy to drink polluted water coming from the official government plant? And how many of you are happy to have the forests destroyed and the environment destroyed? If the answer to this is no, then I'd like you to join me. And to join me now, because, ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious matter and time is running out. I want you to join me so that we can work together to boot Yoweri Museveni from power in order to save our country. God bless you.